only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Welcome back to the Savage Nation with my mellifluous voice. And I want to talk now about the barbarism of ISIS and where it fits in history. And the comparison is best made to the Mongols, which I made about a month ago, because the Mongols did almost exactly what ISIS is doing right now. And who are the Mongols? Well, they came out of the north of China, and they were so vicious. They achieved a series of conquests that still has no parallel in human history. And these were the Mongols. And they appeared in the 13th century. They were a horde of nomadic horsemen. And they lived very much as their predecessors did, the Huns, subsisting chiefly on meat and mare's milk, and they lived in tents of felt. They had broken free from Chinese dominion, and they brought a number of other Turkish tribes into a military confederacy. Their central camp was on the Onon River in Siberia. And what happened next is that of conquest and horror. And who was their leader? Genghis Khan, you've heard of him. He was the leader of the Mongol Confederates. And he made war on the Chinese Qin Empire, and he captured Peking in 1214. He then turned westward and conquered western Turkestan, Persia, Armenia, and India, down to Lahore, and South Russia as far as Hungary and Silesia. Did you know that? Genghis Khan was such an effective monster that he conquered this vast territory, which resulted in a vast empire that reached from the Pacific to the Dnieper River. Now, let me pause right there. He was then succeeded by Ogdai Khan, and I don't want to go into all the details because you can say I'm getting a little off the track here, but the point is about what they did when the Mongols were victorious. They killed everyone. When they got into Hungary, for example, they massacred or assimilated the kindred Magyar, even as these people themselves, the Magyar, had previously massacred and assimilated the mixed Scythians and Avars and Huns before them. So the history of the Huns, the history of the Mongols was the same. When they conquered, they destroyed everybody. They killed everybody, except the women that they wanted to use as sex slaves. Very similar to what you see going on with ISIS right now. Something else you need to know about the Mongols, which is that they had a bitter animosity towards Islam. Did you know that? The Mongols captured the city of Baghdad, and they massacred everyone in Baghdad. They killed everyone in Baghdad. Everyone was killed, men, women, and children. Not only did they kill everyone in Baghdad, but they destroyed the immemorial irrigation system which had kept Mesopotamia incessantly prosperous and populous from the early days of Samaria. Baghdad at that time had one of the most advanced irrigation systems the world had ever seen, and the Mongols destroyed it. From that time on until our own, very recently, Mesopotamia was a desert. And, well, the rest is history. Now, what happened after the Mongols conquered, in addition to destroying and killing everyone? Well, did you know that the Eastern Mongols became Buddhists like the Chinese? Did you know the Western Mongols became Muslim? That's how the Muslims arrived in China. And I want to pause right there because the point is that the world has seen this type of barbaric behavior before. Most notably, as I've pointed out, by the Huns, okay? And as I said in World War II, the barbarity of the Japanese in the treatment of the Chinese in particular equaled or exceeded that of the exceeded the barbarism of the Mongols. And so now we're facing a new barbarian, very much like them. They want to kill everyone in sight, convert everyone to their religion, if you want to call it a religion. And I understand that it's not classical Islam that we're talking about. I mean, I'm an educated man. You can easily say all Muslims are terrorists. You'd be wrong. But the fact of the matter is, their vision is that of a 7th century purist vision, which is absurd, outrageously absurd, because raping 8-year-old girls is not my idea of purism. Nevertheless, people are afraid that they will conquer the world. See, many people fear that ISIS can conquer the world through a series of small attacks like this, which have been going on forever. What happened in Paris will happen in America because of the weaklings we have running everything, because of the liars in the intelligence services. Even the brave men and women in the intelligence services have been hamstrung, and the right word is emasculated, even if they're women, by Obama's left-wing insanities. I mean, they know what might happen. Instead of preemptively arresting those terrorists and taking them in before they kill us, the maniacs in the Obama administration stick to their college girl view, which is that it wouldn't be our values, it wouldn't be this, it wouldn't be that. So it's inevitable that they're going to hit again in this country a few times before the people finally rise up and stop it themselves by electing someone like Donald Trump, who's a strong man, who finally does what needs to be done to stop them. Okay? Now, there's another reason that you don't need to fear that they're going to take over the world, because they're not going to. There's a huge difference that came to me in my sleep last night about these small Arab armies of 1,000 or less who took over 50% of the world in their 100 years. In only 100 years, these small bands of armies, very much like these ISIS terrorists, took over huge parts of the globe through the very same methods. Terror, raping, kidnapping, burning, destroying cities. There's a difference. And the difference is the very thing that ISIS is using to communicate with each other, to conduct these atrocities, is what will be their downfall. Because everyone now can see in an instant the vicious insanity of these throwbacks. In other words, they could have done it in the past and people would have heard about it, but they wouldn't have known about it, and they wouldn't have been prepared for them, nor would they have been ready to fight them. But now the very same internet that they use to advance themselves and their perverse view of Islam will be used against them to destroy them. When you see that Democrats have voted with Republicans today to crack down on a simple common sense measure to increase the scrutiny of refugees coming from Iraq and Syria, you can see that today, even these dodos, the Democrats, understand that they'll be thrown out of office because the people themselves know what must be done. You get it? I hope you get it. It's all in Government Zero.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
And I got a little more news for you on the Savage Nation. If you watch what Russia is going to do when they get into Syria, you'll find out that ISIS is quickly going to be destroyed. You're not going to see it, though, because they're not going to have newsmen running around with cameras. Wolf Blitzer won't be there. Jake Tapwater won't be there. Anderson Cooper won't be there. They won't let him in. No cameras, no helmet cams, no rules of engagement. They're going to kill every one of them. They're not taking prisoners. You know nothing about the Russian military. You have no idea who they are. Now, we have men just as tough in our military. Make no mistake about it. They've just been hamstrung, to use a classy term, by the girls who are running the military. But Russians are not going to be hamstrung by Putin. There's going to be no video of it. They're going to kill every last one of them. They're not going to take prisoners. The thing you should know about a lot of the Russians is many of them are descended from Huns and from Mongols, by the way. So they know a little bit about monstrous behavior, if need be. I mean, why are there so many great fighters coming out of the Ukraine? I asked someone about that the other day. How did this happen? Where did all these great fighters from Ukraine occur? How? I don't know. Where does fighting spirit come from? And what's their ancestry? It's an interesting question for another time. I think I'll take some calls, okay? Myrna on WABC, thanks. What are you calling about? What's on your mind?
You being president. I've wanted that all along. I mean,
wait. Hold it. I'm not running for the presidency.
If you're not going to run for president, because I don't want you to lose your program, so don't want you to run. I want it just the way you said it. I think that's perfect.
Ma'am, I don't know. Please, wait, let's rewind the tape. I never said I'm running for the presidency.
As long as President Trump, as I expect that to be, because I want to work on his campaign.
All right, thank you for the call. It's like, okay, thank you. I know you love me, but why is she even on the radio? Okay, WABC, Cheryl will try for the next caller. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Dr. Savage. I just want to tell you that before I started listening to you, I was as liberal could be. Unbelievably so. I went to Cuba 11 times, through Canada.
Oh, you were one of those red diaper dopa baby girls who went to cut sugar with the compasero with your friends down in Cuba.
You're right. But when I started listening to you, I did a 360. I am now more right.
If you did a 360, that means you're still a liberal.
No. I'm about as conservative as you can get right now.
I'm just kidding. I get it. But what converted you from the stupidity of your past?
You.
But why me? I'm just one man on the radio. How did I convert? What do you remember that I said that made you see the light? Really, honestly, was it one thing? Was it many things? Is it every day? What is it?
It was a lot of things, but mostly it was the talking about Obama. I became so ashamed. I voted for him twice. I thought he was an ass.
Okay, many liberal women did. They were hoodwinked into thinking that because he wasn't a white man, he was good. Did anyone but a white man? I know how the thinking went. Believe me, I know where it comes from, the liberal guilt and the racism. I get it. He capitalized on all of it. But if you look at what the man has done, I don't have to repeat the litany of it. We have President Zero, don't we, Cheryl?
Horrible. This thing with Iran. I mean, it makes me sick to think about any of it.
I'm sending you Government Zero so you can read it for Thanksgiving. That's all. Chapter and verse. That's your new book. It's that simple. Thank you. Now, you stay on the line, and Robert will get your name and address, and we'll send it to you in a plain brown wrapper so that your neighbors aren't offended by you on the Upper West Side. Tom, WMAL in Washington, D.C. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, hey, Dr. Savage. I think that you would be an excellent choice to be head of NIH. And the reason I say that is I've gone through 4 clinical trials there. I've seen a lot of waste. I had hepatitis C, which I got from a blood transfusion years ago from a car accident back in 1985. Also, my wife has an MD, and she has 2 master's degrees, one in public health and the other one in health sciences. And her forte was epidemiology. Her paper she wrote on tuberculosis. But nevertheless, she agrees with me that you would be a good candidate.
See, I'd be a non-bureaucrat coming in to run a huge bureaucracy that's grown like a Frankenstein. The NIH was never set up to be a world unto itself. That's the National Institutes of Health. But today, it is so beholden to special interests, including drug companies, that very little pure science is done and very little honest science is done. And that's why I'm not kidding when I say to you, if Trump becomes president, I will offer my services to run the NIH. I will repeat this a few times between now and next November, because I am an outsider, and yet I have the ability to manage things well enough to know what needs to be done. And I also know how to hire the best scientists in the country who are not beholden to special interests. That's why we'll have better science and better medical research in this country. And believe me, I'll do it for half the cost than they're spending right now. There'll be no trips to Thailand to study the effects of growth hormone on a horse's private parts. No one will get a grant to do a thing like that, or to see if alcohol affects gay behavior in Thailand. If I ever read the kind of grants that are being given out, your hair would stand up. But I'm sure since you know from the inside the kind of garbage that they're funding, you'd probably agree with me.
Most definitely, and a lot of the doctors that are there, they're like on these 2-year stays from other countries, and they have attitudes, and they just pretty much get over. They're get-overs, the majority of them. I mean, there are some decent people there, but very few. I mean, you know, like I was in like the liver, outpatient liver, for my situation for these clinical trials that I was on, and maybe like 2 people out of maybe of the 12 on the staff there were probably the ones that were doing the real work, and the rest were just get-overs.
Let me say this to you. I'm not going to give a total plan for this now because it's far too soon. We've got to see what happens down the line. We've got to see where I'm at, 6-9 months from now. We've got to see what Donald Trump really thinks. I don't know that he would appoint me. I would certainly lobby for it because I'd leave radio for that. I'd leave writing books for that. I would do it as a public service to the United States of America. I think it would be a great capstone to my career and my life. I began as a young student who wanted to, do things that made sense in science. And the thing is to hire the best scientists in the world who are not beholden to special interests. And also you need great managers. In order to run a vast bureaucracy like the NIH or the National Science Foundation, you need to hire great managers, not great